I'm here with Mr. Aaron Stump, who is a
Hi.
research scientist, material scientist, and my husband. And he helps me get really clear about what I'm thinking and talking about. And so we've been talking this morning about what is heart brain coherence because I'm teaching a workshop. I'm doing the yoga portion of yoga and heart brain coherence with Michelle Lundstrom of ignis.com. Um, and learning to create heart brain coherence within your own systems, your own body, can really be life changing. But in order to understand how that is, you have to understand what heart brain coherence is.
So what is it?
So each system, each organ in your body has rhythms. And the three that we're most interested in here are heart, lungs, and brain. And for our purposes, we can narrow it down to heart and brain.
Mhm.
But just know that the lungs have their own electrical and active rhythms that can be either organized or disorganized. And so the degree to which they are organized for a particular organ or between organs is going to contribute to the overall working of the system. So, for instance, go ahead.
So how's that? So if my system is disorganized,
Mm.
what does that mean for my life?
It means that you're swimming upstream.
Hmm. I felt like that before.
Me too. So when our rhythms are disorganized within a system or between systems,
Hmm.
we have to expend more energy to simply do the things that we're doing.
Okay.
So we often think that our brain is the most important part of either sensing pain or pleasure or deciding what we're doing next.
Hmm.
It turns out that our heart rhythms, and it's multiple, influence the electrical rhythms of our brain and vice versa. So for instance, I can take your pulse,
Hmm.
and it's kind of remarkable the amount of information you can get just from palpating somebody's pulse. There's the number of beats per minute, of course,
All right.
but also, is it palpably regularly or irregular? Is it strong or is it weak?
Hmm.
And then there's even more information. But that's sort of the starter pack of information that you can get just from palpating a heart rate. There's the location. Is it at the wrist? Is it up here on the upper arm? Is it on the neck? All these different things give you more and more information. You can also put 4 electrodes on someone, and that generates I think it's a pretty familiar bump, spike, bump.
I've seen that on Grey's Anatomy.
Yes. And many of the books in our library.
Yes.
And that gives you a ton of information, right? But so that's a rhythm.
Hmm.
Um, but then you can put 12 leads on someone and you can get 6 of those that all represent the same instant or instance,
Hmm.
but give you even more information because of how they interrelate. And that their coherence, their organization, your heart has to be organized in order to move blood.
Right.
The atria have to contract first because that's what pre-fills the ventricle. That is crucial. The pre-fill
Hmm.
is crucial for how strong the ventricle can contract. And that's crucial for getting that blood all the way down to your toes, all the way up to your head, all the way through the lungs, and back again. And so having it go bump, bump, bump. Actually, it's bump, 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 bump.
So the timing of all that tells you whether it's pumping efficiently or not.
The organization of that, yes. Yeah. And the more disorganized it is, the less well it's pumping, and probably the less well you're feeling.
It's
And there,
taking more energy to pump less blood.
yes, more energy to do the same or less work.
Mm.
And you can say similar things about the electrons, the EEG waves when you attach electrodes to the brain. There are rhythms.
Mm.
You may have heard of like alpha, beta, delta, theta waves. These are all different brain states that you could be in.
Mm. Okay.
And the organization or disorganization of that is similarly related. The more disorganized the various regions are between themselves or within themselves and between one another, represents having to put in more energy to do the same or less work.
Gotcha. So is it fair to say, like, so like if you see your favorite athlete and they're like, you can tell they're really in the zone and they're just like
Yeah.
super efficient and they're making everything happen and making it look easy,
Yeah.
that would be a representation of the type of coherence you're talking about?
I believe so. I mean, you'd never know unless, of course, you were in an experimental situation. But yes, yeah, that what we do know is that when we see coherence,
Mm-hmm.
the experience that results is being in the zone or closer to being in the zone.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there are techniques that you can use to generate this for yourself. And I think this is incredibly exciting because it's so empowering that you would be able to do this for yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the state that everybody wants to ideally be in their daily life, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So during this workshop, I will be leading us through some yoga practices that can contribute to this. Michelle will be going through the science, and then she'll be taking us through very, very targeted, specific meditations and guided imageries to generate more and more coherence in the systems. There'll be a secondary video where I do screenshots of some of the research that explains and investigates heart brain coherence. I think this is really exciting and deeply empowering. And what Michelle says is if you learn to generate heart brain coherence, your life will be changed forever. Um, and that sounds like a pretty good outcome to me.
That sounds pretty good.
So I hope we'll see you there for the workshop. Comment below if you have questions, and there'll be a link below to the workshop too. Happy Yoga Day.